Hey there, this is Kevin again, Siegfried Alexander Faust. I have a couple minutes before I gotta go into work, and I thought I wanted to cover something about the 5 most likely groups to win the quote-unquote 40k race to take over the galaxy. Because it is just the Milky Way galaxy, you could expand beyond that, but as far as we're concerned, it's that galaxy. Now, I'll say the 4 big ones first. Necrons, Tyranids, Chaos, Imperium, and then at the very bottom, everyone else. Everyone else is so small or finite or doesn't or has a major limitation, and you might argue orcs, they can go 1v1 with Tyranids, they spread a lot, yeah, but they don't have the ability to travel space. And you say, oh well, the Imperium ships, yeah, but that's what they'll cobble together out of what they could find. What if they just run out? So orcs are a real contender, but Tyranids can do way more than they can, and I'll get into this, but also Tyranids aren't limited by finding what they need. They can just create it. So they don't have that major limitation. Tau, too small, and they need everyone else to be wiped out. It's just not feasible. Gene Stealer cults win if Tyranids win. Them winning is Tyranids winning. So meh. Voton might as well be Imperium, because of how crazy the Voton are. And they're just not in the position to just take over everything, so it's just not really gonna happen. So a lot of these other factions or whatever, they would just need a crazy event or plot device shift to go in their favor, or multiple to further solidify them having a chance. Eldar need to beat Slaanesh basically. And then between the Exodites, the Harlequins, the Drakari, and the Craft World Eldari, Elsurian, they need to push back on all the other races, which not only means defeating Chaos, Imperium, and whatnot, but then also the Tyranids and Necrons. So now let's get to the big 4. Spot number 4 is Imperium. Now Imperium is so large, it can basically beat all the rest here except for the top 3. They could easily squish the Tau if they threw everything they had at the Tau, along with some of the other things. The only things they have a problem with is Gene Stealer cult, but again, they'd eventually wipe them out if they didn't also have to worry about the Tyranids and whatnot. And they could potentially go to the end game with the Emperor, but that has a lot of other problems with some of the other factions. Because of the good guys, again, they might have some plot devices, but it's quite reasonable while the other 3 beat them. So spot number 3, Chaos. For as long as people act quote-unquote human, and the Monkeyes keep acting like Monkeyes, and then hell, even Slaanesh and the other races act, maybe they'll change over time, they weren't always the way they are, they'll give power to the Chaos Gods, maybe make more Chaos Gods, who knows, or they'll never be able to get rid of one, or the power will get consolidated into 1 or 2, etc. Chaos Gods, or 3 if Slaanesh goes away. So there's a lot of problems that could rise up, and it's just, Chaos is hard to put down. Also, it's debatably immortal. You have to go to the realm of chaos to kill chaotic beings, demons, in the warp for them to stay dead. Otherwise, when they manifest, they'll just come right back in some time. It's all waiting game to them. They don't give a fuck. And so they'll just crush everything else, and they're just going to win through attrition. It could take them millions of years, but they have the time. Time doesn't matter. Tyranids, spot number 2. Tyranids don't really give a shit. They're just hungry. Now, Tyranids can they don't care about chaos, but if Tyranids eat everything that's chaos, guess what? Then and in Imperium, that's like all organic life, then there won't be any beings to worship the Chaos Gods, and they won't have an interest in our reality anymore, and they've actually mutated in a way to somehow fucking deal with them, which is weird, but you have to remember they have the Shadow and the Warp. And they have routinely lots of grade 5/alpha level psychers. And so they can quite easily deal with demons, ironically. Tyranids, demons, no problems. It's when you have to fight something very similar to them, which is Necrons or Orcs, they start to take a while. And so, yeah, that's pretty crazy. Now, spot number 1, Necrons. And people could say, oh, well, what about Imperium Man, Tyranids, Orcs, all this stuff, demons? Well, okay, so let's start with some of the big things here. Necrons, Humanity Emperor said that it's likely that got some crap on my shoe. That demons could very well be the biggest threat to humanity, and they have the ability to just repel all demons, including some warp stuff. So they can deal with that. They don't have organic matter, so the Tyranids don't really care. And they can live on dead worlds that the Tyranids, again, don't really care. And they can even eradicate the worlds of life and then just rebuild it later, so they can just pose a huge problem for the Tyranids. They are one of, if not the biggest problem for Chaos. And then they have the ability, they have the greatest super weapon in the galaxy right now, where they can just pull up a star map and just click, 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 different planets, stars and stuff, and just think they'll explode. Their technology is so beyond everyone else, it was beyond humanity in its golden days, etc. So, Necrons right now could actually just kill basically everyone, except the beings in the warp or spacefaring things like Tyranids. They could just beat everyone. And then, if they really wanted, they could just starve out the Tyranids again by just destroying all the worlds. Or wait till Tyranids get there and then blow it up. So they could really just beat everyone, but there's two reasons why they don't do it. One is because plot. It just wouldn't be a story or a narrative. It'd be boring. The other one is so much of the Imperium of Mankind, they don't do exterminatus all over the place because you want planets. You don't want to have the Milky Way galaxy just be no longer a galaxy. That, and then while they have all this tech and all these other things, what if the Tyranids weren't made by the Silent King or the Old Ones, or they're a threat specifically in a way to also eventually deal with Necrons? Like, maybe they'll evolve in another way later that's more specific to adapting against Necrons. And so, we don't know, but it's basically like Necrons and Tyranids and Chaos and Imperium and then everyone else, honestly. And you could argue for the separate things inside the Imperium, but by Imperium of Man, I mean the Custodes / Space Marines. Everyone else is after that. You need some crazy plot events to happen, and they could happen, but it's just not likely or relevant. So, meh. With that said, I need to clean up my shoe apparently, and then get ready for work. If you disagree, feel free to voice it down in the comments. If you like my content, like, share, and subscribe. I just don't feel like anyone else has a chance against like Imperium, Chaos, Tyranids, Necrons. Like, they're the biggest boys in the play yard and school ground. Again, it feels bad, but Orcs, they just have some crazy limiting factors. Another thing to boost Necrons, it took Krorks and Eldari, which are the better and stronger, smarter, improved version of the Eldar in their entirety and the Orcs in their entirety, the better versions of both, to beat back the Necrons, who were also at the time starting to have internal struggles and dealing with Catan and shit. So Necrons are top tier, and if it takes those other two races combined to even deal with them, I'm not sure if they even make the list. And so, yeah. And then Imperium, I want to feel like they beat Chaos. Boy, even if they beat Chaos, Tyranids are just insane of a threat, and they could beat Chaos and Tyranids. They could do all that, and the Necrons could still bippity-bop all their planets. So, like, I don't know. You could have some crazy things happen to Necrons, but again, you require what-ifs arguments and, plot events, Deus Ex Machina, to justify the claims. So, with that said, I'll catch y'all later. Take care and game on, gamers. Bye.